Alright, so I just wanted to go over the process of, you know, I guess how the level came to fruition, things that I changed, and stuff like that. Alright, so first, with the first part of the level, honestly, a lot of it didn't look like how I was planning to, I guess. If I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it looked a lot different in my head, of course, but I found out pretty quickly that plans change, and I originally planned for a lot more foliage, and the foliage, apparently procedural foliage, takes up a lot of resources and a lot of memory in UE4, which is something I learned very quickly, especially considering all these additional processes and lights and things. So I had to kind of improvise and use a lot less foliage than what I planned. This area here, I mean, looks pretty much like how, I kind of planned, but something I didn't really think about is kind of the fact that, like, as soon as I put everything together, I can't lie, it looks a bit, now that I look at it, it does look a bit sparse. That's something I definitely improve on. I'm so afraid of making everything look cluttered and gross, is that I'm like, I end up not putting enough things. And here, the health and key area, I had put all this cool stuff, like in the back corner where that lamp is. Next to that is a hay, and next to that haystack is a house, and that house has gates and a horse cart next to it, but you can't see it because it's nighttime and it's dark, and I should have put some more lights there. But I digress. So moving on to this area, instead of having two or just one turret, I put three because I felt that I wanted to give the player a bit of a challenge, and I felt honestly having one just wasn't enough. And frankly, part of me wonders if one was okay for that first area, just because the player might be getting accustomed to it. Here again are some more cages. I kind of changed the whole idea. Instead of having instead of having people in the cages and people running away and yada yada, I decided to kind of like revamp that and just make it kind of souls that are trapped in the cages instead. And you might be wondering, well, why would souls be trapped in a cage? Can they just slip out? Hey, I mean, these cages are not only physical but spiritual as well, because they are trapped by not just, they died, with little will and very sad. So, they're almost bound to the grounds of which they died, the slaves are. Anyways, so moving on, of course, we have this area. It looks pretty much how I wanted it to, or what I expected it to, just because it's, just hidden turrets. This was a little something that I added because once I figured, once we were taught the whole destructible mesh, I decided to have a little, have a little fun with it and use it in my level somehow. I really wanted to implement it somehow. So what I did was, in order for the player to progress, they would have to, and they can't physically destroy, the walls. So they would need to, in fact, use the enemies to their advantage and use the cannons that were shot at them as weapons. Which, is a little, cool. Oh, yeah, here's my lose condition. I mean, I have a couple of lose conditions, including like losing all your health, but, for the sake of the final, I decided to show death. And so, yeah, cut to finally moving on to again to the final area, change and ominous music. So yeah, I wanted to be able to use that somehow. And at first, in my plans for the last, for the last level, the boss room, in my plans, as you might notice on the screen, I had a plan to have the rotating turret in the middle, the cage behind the rotating turret, and then 4 turrets in the regular, in the corners. And once I really thought about it, and once I put this level together, I was thinking, that's not really gonna work. It's gonna be too much to absorb, and then keys, and then this, and then that. So frankly, I just decided, hey, like, let's just make it a main rotating turret in the middle. And then I still had the cage there, and then I had the rotating turret. And then I still was looking, and I was like, I still want to make some kind of condition for the player to be able to move forward, some kind of challenge, like not just run around the turret in order to get to the finish. So I did another destructible mesh in order to block the player from getting to the win area. Not just the win area, but also just give them something, an incentive for actually, dodging they have to do something, They can't just like run around the turret and then go win. I don't really feel like that's engaging. If I, put more into it, I feel like I could have done several or planned it out somehow. But all in all, I think I accomplished like a good bit of what I was planning. However, I totally would like go back, and honestly I might go back and add things and just build upon this, because I feel like at the end, there's just so much more I could add on to it. And honestly, this was an invaluable experience. Like, even though I took like 11 credit hours, which I wasn't supposed to, that's my fault. I'm still glad I found time to like put effort into this level. But if I could just do it again, I'd probably just take this class only during the summer, so I could like put my everything into it, just because I just enjoyed just the process and actually having to do this process, and putting myself in that mindset and that challenge. And the class was enjoyable too. Professor was great, classmates were great and cooperative, everything was great. So definitely an experience I will never forget, and I honestly find, again, invaluable. So yeah, thank you for listening to my, I guess, self-evaluation, self-log, devlog. All right, thank you so much.